I'm Lindsay.
I'm Sam.
I'm Katie.
Tell me everything.
Am I Sam and Lindsay on the mic? Tell me everything tonight. From the books to the screen and everything in between. If it's trending, we know. What's the tea? Let's go. It's a 306 flow. Tell me everything you know. Bring it to the show. Tell me what you heard. Yeah, every single word. Tell me everything. Tell me everything.
Today, we are going to dive into the spooky, the uncomfortable, the horror, if you will. Katie Kulpa is a horror author. She is what we would call in the communications world a subject matter expert, or a SME.
Dream.
And what I mean by that is she is a local ghost girl. She knows a lot about paranormal. She has a podcast about it. She's written books. She's been on radio shows. And tonight she is here with us. Welcome to Tell Me Everything.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. I'm super excited.
We are looking forward for all the tea, all the juicy ghost tea. I mean, we can talk primarily, I think, about Saskatchewan because that's where we are and that's what people like to hear about. I have to ask, though, as someone who is a spooky searcher, if you will, I'm going to go with the alliteration all night long. What were you doing before you came to the podcast? How much does ghost stuff make up your regular daily life?
Oh, well, as of late, a lot more than it used to, that's for sure. Because, now I have the podcast that I do regularly. Even though we just wrapped up season 2, I'm involved in ghost tours now. So always actively looking for new locations. Even on my TikTok, I do a haunted Saskatchewan every Wednesday. Try to do that. So, I'm talking about ghosts and hearing people's experiences, because once they hear you like ghosts, they all have experiences and I love hearing them. So it's a lot more often, but the day job is more in science and engineering. So I do have some normal stuff too.
Are you, what kind of engineer? Are you an engineer?
Yeah.
Also, I have a master's in civil engineering.
So a smarty pants in science who believes in ghosts.
Yes.
You're just like a Ghostbuster is what I'm hearing.
Hey, okay, modern day Ghostbusters, that'd be fun.
Well, so Katie, I know you and Sam have chatted before. Tell me about you. Where are you from here? What got you into like ghosty love and just supernatural stuff? Like what? Tell me all the things about yourself so that I can understand how you got to this point where you're just plugging all the sweet ghost goodness. So
so I'm originally from Nipawin, a little bit northern Saskatchewan, or north central, I guess we would say. That's where I grew up and was born into a haunted house. So that's always what I say kind of got me into it. I used to see a man standing in our house and that no one else could see. So that was an interesting experience.
How old were you when that happened? Like when that started? And
I was really young. I was really young and I was terrified at that time. I still can remember, it obviously was a traumatic experience at the time because I can remember it very clearly. I think I was about 6 or 7 and I saw this man and I ran into my parents' room because they were sleeping and crawled into bed beside my mom and was hiding behind her back. And he was making faces around the corner into the house or into the room. And so I still remember that clear as day. So then it was very traumatic. But now looking back, now that I know who it was, I'm like, okay, I understand why he was there, which kind of got me into looking for more ghosts.
Who was he? Like you said, I was like waiting for more. I was like, Kay, tell me, who's this dude? Why is he making faces at a 6 or 7-year-old child?
Yeah, so eventually found out after we moved out. I think I was around 19. I finally said to my mom, like, did you see a guy in our house? Did you know it was haunted? And my brother happened to be at the table and he said, hey, I saw that guy too. And so we're like, okay. And my mom was like, well, I never saw a person, but I would see shadow figures. So she would see this shadow walking around the house and she never said anything because my dad didn't believe in it. But anyway, we explained what he looked like, my brother and I both, because he had like a white button-up shirt and suspenders and had a certain look about him. And she said, oh, that's Godfred. I was like, who's Godfred? And here it was brothers that had lived in the house before us, and they happened to be friends of my grandfather's. So he was a bachelor his whole life, lived with his brother, never had a family. So that's why we figure he probably just stuck around because he knew our family and never got to experience kids in the house before.
So was he around all the time? Because I imagine you have that first experience. Like, could you shut him out, or were you then stuck with it forever?
I wouldn't notice him like during the day. So usually daylight hours didn't see him anyway. Might have experiences like knocks on walls or, things you can ignore. But then usually at nighttime, that's when I would see him, kind of when you're ready to go to sleep or everyone is asleep. I'm the type I always wake up in the night, always have, probably always will. And so I would always see him in the night.
So,
and my brother was the same.
You're a kid and your brother young, seeing him. Would you say that Godfrey is the most traumatic supernatural event that you have dealt with in your life, or is there one that surpasses that? Because I feel like as a kid that really leaves a lasting impression, but maybe there was something that happened as an adult, or
I would say he's not my scariest.
Okay.
I did have a scarier because of course as an adult I love going to haunted places. But when I was living in Australia, I went to the Melbourne Old Jail. And of course, we went Halloween because we're like, oh, we have to go on Halloween. And of course, it was at night and they had most of the lights off to make it extra spooky. And I don't know how much you know of Australia history, but back then in the day, they made death masks. So where they would take impressions of, after they hung the prisoner, they would take impressions of their faces.
Okay.
So that they could make molds out of them. So they had these death masks all over too, in the dark. But we were on the second floor, walking down the little skinny kind of railway, and I felt a hand kind of reach out and grip mine out of one of the cells. And I just remember looking in and seeing nobody, even though it was pitch black. And I just kind of went, nope, and kept going. So that was my most terrifying, where I was just like, nope, don't want to interact with this one. I'm going to keep walking.
Did you react in that moment out loud, or was this an internal nope?
This was internal.
So nobody knew that you experienced it in that moment?
No.
Did you mention it at the end of the tour?
No, I just put the head down and was like, I need to leave.
No, I would want to know so much. You were just like,
it was funny because we were walking to go see where the gallows is where we were walking to. So everyone was excited about the gallows and spooked out. And so I just was like, no, we just won't talk about this. We'll just keep walking and pretend that never happened.
I'm glad you brought up jails though, because that is the one thing I want to talk to you about the most when it comes to Regina, because I used to work for CBC. That's where you and I met for the first time. And it's my understanding that there was a jail in Regina on that corner at College and Broad, not far, or on that land where the lawn is in front of the CBC. What can you tell me about that? Because I hear that is one of the most haunted areas, not buildings, of the city. I've never experienced anything there, and I was there for 7 years. But what can you tell me about this jail and who died there?
Yeah, so, 3 people were hung there, 3 prisoners. So it would have been early 1900s. They had built a jail and asylum there. I think it only was supposed to hold like 28 male prisoners, and then there was a section for women in the asylum. But it was quite big at the time, so like they had a garden, they had houses for the people that worked there, so it took up quite a bit of the space, right in kind of the park on the corner there, and behind the normal school. So, but yeah, unfortunately, because of the soil, of course, back then they weren't as big into engineering as we are now, so it started to sink really quickly. So they actually had to then create the jail where it is now in 1913, which was haunted. I've had many stories told to me about that place.
Really?
But yeah, they had 3 prisoners hung there, and all of them were murderers.
But honey, the land, right? The land can remain haunted. That's what everyone says, is just because something happened and like maybe the building doesn't exist. There's like okay, that phenomenon that I've heard of where, let's say, house was like renovated and like the stories were like changed. So when people see a ghost, it's like half a ghost or something because like or like the top half of their body or just some like legs, which makes me think of like it makes me think of Adam's Family with just like thing like a hand, but instead it's
Yeah.
just like 2 feet, just like
Is that a
going
thing?
for a saunter.
Well, that would be more of like residual energy. So like not necessarily an intelligent ghost, but like energy that's just repeating itself is probably what that kind of thing would be. So they are not aware of changed surroundings. They're just a ghost that is just reliving something over and over again. So they just see it as if it was the way it was.
I didn't realize there was a difference between like an intelligent. I feel bad. I felt like we just shamed like spirits in that moment. By the way,
Jeez, don't haunt me.
please don't like. But I didn't realize there was something to do like spiritual energy versus like seeing an actual like apparition, like an actual ghost or something that's going to interact with you. What is like the
What's the difference
between those?
Well, yeah, so I guess there's a lot of different kind of perspectives because it really, how do you properly study this realistically?
Right.
So it's all kind of perspectives, but yeah, so the kind of different perspectives are one, it's just energy and you don't see anything, you just have that feeling, right? So that's where you get a lot of people going, oh, that basement feels really heavy, or oh, that old hospital feels like death. Well, it might not necessarily be haunted, it's just the energy. And then you kind of you have your more residual, which is maybe a traumatic experience happened. So it might not necessarily be like a ghost as a person, but it could be just kind of repeating energy, and you might see something, but it won't be intelligent or interactive. Whereas the last one would be more your intelligent ghost. So that is the ghost that can interact with you, is more aware of its surroundings, um, can make things move, maybe, depending on what you believe, I guess.
Have you seen, like, do people seek you out to say, hey, can you come see if I have a ghost? Is that something that people ask you to do? And have you seen ghosts since Godfred was in your house?
I've seen quite a few. I haven't been actively invited into houses. People like to tell me their ghost stories, and more I've had questions about, because I have kids. They ask, well, how do you deal with having children in a haunted house? Because I grew up in it and because my kids are in the house. We don't have like an active haunting in our house, but ghosts like to come and visit and pop by. I was once told that by a psychic that I have a bright light, and that's why they come and see me.
She's chill. Hang out with her.
Yeah. That's what I've been told. I'm like, you're so like chill about ghosts that that's probably why they come to visit you.
Yeah.
But yeah, so every person I've ever lived with, if they weren't a believer before they lived with me, they were a believer after they lived with me, including my poor husband. He wasn't a believer before, but
tell me everything about that. How did you make him a believer? I love a good cynical husband. Tell me, how did you convert him? And not that I'm looking to, I just find it so fascinating when you have a person, man or woman, who is so set in their ways, 10 toes down, science. No, I think of you and Rob arguing about aliens. Like there are some things that people just are like, no, you're insane. And then, like, so what was the thing that flipped him over? Because this is one of those things where you typically either believe or you don't.
He's had many experiences since we started living together. I'm trying to think of what some of the first ones were. But I know, like, sometimes we'll walk, like, none of us are smokers in the house, but sometimes he'll walk into the basement and he'll smell smoke. And his stepdad had passed away from cancer because of cigarette smoke. So we often think, okay, it's just him kind of popping in. He's also had some more spookier experiences. He's seen a woman in a white dress kind of disappear into our bedroom, and then when he went in to try and find out who this person is, no one was there. He also likes to, he goes to the basement after the kids go to bed so he doesn't make noise. And he's been like sitting at his computer, and suddenly a cord will start swinging on the back of his computer. So he's a believer now.
Does it creep him out though, or is he now chill about it like you are?
Well, I've explained to him how he can just, shut them down, and so he just does that
So how do
and
you
ignores
shut
it.
down a ghost? How do you shut it down? I had so first I'll tell you how a friend of mine, she sees ghosts and her kids see ghosts and like all the time. And so she said she treats her mind like a fortress, and she like slams the walls down and thinks of them as closed. And if she does that, she won't see them. But if she doesn't actively think about it, they go up.
Yep. Oh, and like I think I've had mine fairly closed for the most part for a long time now. Um, just because it does get tiring seeing them all the time. But
Is that what you
it's
do?
I used to. I don't as much, probably because I'm used to it now. I'm around haunted places so often. Uh, but I do have kind of I could do a couple things. So, if there's a ghost I don't want in my house, like an example is one day I was sleeping and woke up and there was someone at the end of my bed, like trying to tug on my blankets.
Rude.
And so, yeah. So I got mad, and that's what you do. You get mad. And personally, I use swear words to really push them out. So I, will say, get the fuck out or piss off or that kind of thing. And just kind of imagine like white light pushing and really
Okay.
Oh,
feel that.
okay.
Same thing I've told my kids. Like, now I don't tell them to swear, but I tell them to get out and imagine that you have energy pushing out of you and you're pushing them away. And so that's what they started doing when they felt
So
uncomfortable
they
with it.
see them too.
They have in the past, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And as
It's always
they've aged,
interesting. Sorry.
as they've aged.
As they age, it's less, or at least they don't tell me maybe as often.
Okay. Okay.
But yeah, when they were young, they would walk up to me and be like, "Mom, there's a man in the bathroom." They're like, "Okay, I'll go tell him to go away."
You know,
Only
make him
in a
leave
ghost
and leave.
house, though. You'd be like, Mom, there's some guy in the bathroom. And you're just like, okay. Where in any other house, you'd
Yeah.
be like, get in the bedroom. I'm going to. I'm like a much more serious situation.
Okay. So I'm curious because I was just listening to a story out of Scotland about I believe it's called the Bakken House. It's no longer standing, but it was a gentleman who he wanted all of his dogs to inherit his house, and he loved his dogs. Animal ghosts. Have you seen animal ghosts? Have you heard of any animal ghost stories?
Yes, I've heard a
Okay.
few.
Because I
I've
love
heard of
that idea. Because they're just like, we're gonna hang out with my owner / I really like this space. That's what I'm gonna vibe on. I'm not gonna think that it was a bad thing. I was gonna think that the animal loved them so much they wanted to hang out. I'm sticking with that, but you can just ruin my day right now if you want.
Oh, like for sure. I mean, in our house now, I'm pretty sure we've had a cat here before, because we've had like balls roll off of the table kind of thing, and it just felt kind of like cat energy. But I know we had a beagle when we first came and moved into this
Oh,
house, and we still see her periodically, just kind of out of the corner of your eye. You'll just see this white and black thing out of the corner of your eye, but when you turn, she's not there. My kids see her all the time. They come in and they'll say, "Oh, I saw Zoe today," and I'll be like, "Oh, well, that's nice. She came to visit."
Did they make up the name Zoe, or did you guys find
That's her
out that it
name.
was Zoe? Okay,
Yeah,
that is her name. So
yeah.
was Zoe? Do you know how Zoe wound up in the space? Did Zoe
Well,
tell
that was
you
our
their
dog.
name?
Zoe was our dog.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah,
I
yeah.
didn't realize. Well, that's kind of nice that Zoe says, "Mom, Dad, I'm gonna hang out, be around you guys." That's so sweet. Ah, I wish that
okay.
happens all the time. But let's get into this, Sam. Here we go.
Well, so I know someone who's a seer in the city who's also done tours. You may know who I'm talking about. I don't want to name names or anything, but she told me that there's a horse on College,
Oh, I
like
haven't heard
horse and
that one.
carriage. Yeah, that she sees in the area, that there's a horse and College, like on that by the computer clinic, which is not a computer
Of
clinic
course.
anymore,
Yeah.
but was a
Right.
very haunted building. And the reason I knew that is because my aunt used to own a salon next door, and no one would go upstairs to use the bathroom. They would come to her salon because the upstairs was haunted. I mix up the stories because there was another haunting on College that involved a girl drowning upstairs, I think. So I mixed the like in the area, how the person died or whatever it is, but I won't even look at the windows of that building when I drive past it
You don't want to
because
look
it
at the
creeps
upstairs
me out so
window to
much.
see her?
What is the backstory of that? I love that because she said that corner is just so haunted.
Oh, it is very, yeah. Well, I mean, for that house specifically, I've never been inside of it, but we're fairly sure it is just one of the previous owners. That she just really loved the house and kind of has stuck with it. And the story goes that you can see her kind of standing upstairs in the window at night at times.
Which is why I
I've
won't
heard
look.
many stories about her, but
Tell me one. Tell us the best one.
okay, so my favorite one is a girl that worked there while it was a coffee shop, I
Mhm.
believe is what I was told. And she was in the back cleaning up to get ready to close. And she came out and saw down the hallway was by the front door was an elderly woman standing there. And so she came out to say, "Sorry, ma'am, we're closed." And the elderly woman rushed her, but then disappeared before she reached her. So apparently
Oh.
she ran out of the building, didn't lock up, called the boss and said, "I'm not going back in that house. Good luck to you." And that was the end of it for her.
You can mail me my paycheck. Thank you so
Yeah,
much.
pretty much.
This is my 2
It's been a
weeks.
slice.
But that street, like college, essentially sounds like one of the most haunted streets in Regina.
You've
I
got
say
Dark
that
Hall.
yeah. I mean, I've done the tour of Dark Hall and everything like that. I did that last year with one of my friends, and it was just fascinating. First of all, just to understand the history, knowing that it was turned into a hospital and everything like that. So you do ghost tours all around Regina. What are some of the hot spots in the city that you take people to that you're like, this is one that you guys need to know about beyond maybe just college?
And saying that, I know you don't want to give away your secrets, but I also think part of these tours is the experience. So I think that even telling a little bit of the story isn't going to hurt because I know that there is a vibe when you get on these tours. I toured Winchester House in California. While beautiful, I wouldn't go back. And I can tell you about that afterwards. But yeah, what are some of we've heard about Crave. We've heard about the Bartleby building. We've heard about Brownstone. I've heard the basement of Brownstone is actually like some weird portal-y thing, but that's a whole other conversation. But do portals exist? Are there places that there's like a thinner existence between the worlds where there's just more people coming and going, that it's just easier, or a time of day? Like, how do you know, where are the concentrated spots?
I'm thinking of Ghostbusters so hard right now.
I know. I can't help it.
Sorry.
It's a thing.
It's hilarious.
I think it's a thing.
But yeah, see, I'm trying to think if I've ever experienced a portal per se.
I say portal, but that's maybe not the best word.
Yeah.
A
Like, I know.
Stargate?
I don't know if that's a better word.
A black hole? I don't know. I don't know what they're called.
Entry
Like
point?
a
I don't know
walkway.
what you
Yeah,
call
like
it.
a walkway
Okay.
between.
Yeah. I mean, maybe. I always find rooms, especially with mirrors, for some reason, for me, rooms with mirrors tend to have more comings and goings, maybe.
Oh, interesting.
So I don't.
Removing all the mirrors from my house. Check. Okay, go on.
As I look up at my
Well,
giant
it's funny, and
mirror
that's why I always talk about use mirrors in my like horror writing too, because I love mirrors and I find them fascinating. The whole idea of they could be portals to another world or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so mirrors. I know hotspots. So like specifically in Regina, I think, because Dudney is another hotspot, kind of in the warehouse district, of course. The Wascana Park area, of course, is a hotspot. College is a hotspot, and I sometimes wonder if it has to do with the tornado that went up because it hit all of those locations. And so just because it was an F4 tornado, so a large tornado, there was 28 people died that day. So there was a lot of emotional trauma and death. So to me, that would have stirred up a lot of, energy, a lot of emotion, a lot of tragedy, because a lot of people lost their homes. So I kind of wonder if that's why those specific locations have a hotspot, because it went by the college. It went across the lake by the college avenue, or college campus, and then continued straight up through Cornwall, past where the Bushwhacker Roof Hub is, and a little bit further up, and then disappeared.
love that you just know this history.
Yeah.
And I know that that's part of it.
Yeah.
Would we ever catch you in a graveyard after midnight?
Oh, I've been to graveyards, yeah. They don't bother me too much. I don't think ghosts hang out there because
Do
they
they?
want to.
Is that like a thing? Like, are graveyards as spooky as we make them out to be? I think a lot of it has to do with that people are very uncomfortable with death.
Yes. Yeah.
But are graveyards actually scary, or is it like more scary to go into like where Fort Sand was, for example?
Oh, and I love Fort Sand too. I'd love to get access to that land. It'd be very interesting. But yeah, I always say I'm more terrified of the living than I'm terrified of the ghosts.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, I've walked Regina Cemetery many times, and I don't feel much of anything there. I have heard of experiences around there, but I don't know if anyone's really has experiences in the cemetery. I know my cousin had one back in Nipawin, in the cemetery, but he thinks it was a family member, so I think that's more why he had that experience.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So then let's take a look at Saskatchewan. What area of Saskatchewan is reportedly the most haunted, would you say?
That would be a hard one.
Because like we
there's
hear
so
about all
many
the local
hauntings.
stuff, right? But to be honest, I have never investigated anything in Saskatoon. Like I've had friends drive me around Regina and like say, this is haunted, this is haunted, this is haunted. And I'm like, yes, that was my first 2 weeks living here. They were like, let me take you on a drive.
You did. Okay, but to be fair, Katie, we have to tell you, like, I love horror movies. I don't like ghosts. Lindsay loves ghosts. Like, did a ghost tour in New Orleans.
Yeah.
Like,
Ooh,
here
yeah.
for the spooky. So when she says like 2 weeks in, I wanted a ghost tour, this is her personality. This is not her just like some weird friend being like, I'm going to take you on a haunting tour.
Well, no, Celeste can be considered a bit weird sometimes, but she also loves ghosts.
Yeah. But you know what I mean? Yeah, but it is your personality.
That's my thing is like, I love a good ghost tour because I mean, on top of that, and like Katie, clearly you have such a rich, in-depth knowledge of not just like the ghost side of things, but also just like the research and the history side, which is something that I find extremely fascinating because when you understand the history, you also understand where stories may have come from, where there are people who say, oh, well, I saw this. Dark Hall was a great example of that, where they're like, oh, you hear about, people unaliving themselves off of the building. And it's like, well, actually, that's not true, things like that. So it was interesting just to understand the history, which is why I'm curious about other places in Saskatchewan, because you clearly have done a lot of homework.
Well, yeah. Well, and that's kind of, I guess, my shtick, if you can call it that, is I like doing the history through hauntings, teaching history through hauntings. Now, I wasn't like that originally. I don't know. I do think it comes back to Godfred, finding out who he was and how he had this connection to our family really changed how I saw the haunting. And so now anytime I think of a haunted building, I'm curious, well, why is it haunted? Well, who would be haunting it? And so, yeah, so I do a lot of that. So like last summer, as part of our family road trip, we stopped in at Gravelbourg for 2 days to go and check out the different places. My kids find it annoying and boring, but they
that's part of
let me do it
as a kid. They'll get over it. They'll appreciate it when they're older.
Yeah. So we did that and got to know kind of a couple of nice haunted spots there and learned a little bit about the history and had our own experience. Well, my husband had his own experience again. My poor husband.
Where?
Lucky.
Yeah.
In the cathedral?
No, we were staying in the historic bishop's residence, bed and breakfast now. But of course, old building where the bishop used to live. And we had used the upstairs. So they have it's like 3 bedrooms, a bathroom, and then they can have a door that you can lock. So we're like, okay, we'll take all those 3 bedrooms and then we'll just be able to lock the door, when we're up there sleeping because it's just us. And so we were up there and my son had just come out of using the washroom, not to shower, just used the washroom, came out and the shower turned on. And my husband looked over and then it turned off. And then he got up and came to find me and said, Kate, we got to leave or you got to go talk to the ghost. deal with this.
Babe, I'm gonna need you to go and do some work again,
Yeah.
please.
It's like the opposite of a spider, where like you'd be like, "Oh, the spider." He's like, "I need you to go talk to the ghost."
Yeah.
I found like Gravelbourg such a beautiful place to visit. I went there last summer and I got first of all, went into the museum of Gravelbourg, and one of the girls that was working there, she's like, I got a key to like the old like school building / the entire, and I know I'm gonna say it wrong. It's not a church. I don't think it's a church. I forget what the chapel. Yes, okay, so chapel. Sorry, I'm very uneducated on those types of things, but she's like, do you want to go and see it? I'm done work in like 10 minutes. And I was like, how much? And she's like, no, I'll just go show you. Come on with me. And I was like, this is insane. And it was overwhelming to go in that building, just first of all, because it's absolutely beautiful. I was only able to go into the chapel side. I wasn't able to go into the other side. But I mean, it definitely gives off those kinds of vibes. Knowing some, I only got some of the history, and by the history, that was the stuff that the museum and the folks who worked there, shout out to them, highly recommend you go visit them, would give. But I imagine you would have far more interesting tidbits that could be shared about the location.
Well, and it's funny that you mentioned that, because I did do the same thing. I went to the chapel with the lady from the museum, and she was so funny because she asked me, why I was there, and I kind of told her and told them about what I did, and like, oh, I haven't had any ghosts, don't have any ghost stories, but I have 2 weird experiences I could tell you. The one was a person. I 100% agree with her. The second one, I was like, but is it, explainable? I don't know that I believe you. But she said she was in there getting ready, but it was for the Mother's Day tea, I think she said, the next day. So she was in there at night getting it all ready, and she kept thinking she could hear like women singing. Of course, it used to be a convent, so of course you first think of the nuns. But so she'd look around and it would stop. Then she'd go back to continue what she's doing, and she'd hear it again. And then she said, but then eventually I saw there was a pigeon up on the railing, and I was like, to me, a pigeon doesn't sound like women singing. I'm sorry to say.
No.
She's sure it was a pigeon. And I said, you know what? Sure, it was the pigeon.
Let her explain it away. Let her explain it away.
Great pipes.
What about like ghost travel tourism? And I ask because I think I tell people this all the time, and maybe it makes me a bit of a psycho, but I think going to jails in places is actually the best way to learn a history of a place. And so I've toured a lot of jails because you learn so much about like what was going on in the community at the time, that this space was so important. And one of the ones I got to go to was in Dublin, Ireland. It's Kilmainham Gaol, or Kilmainham Jail. And it's been in a whole bunch of movies, and it was a seeing eye jail. So it's a circle, and it's considered isolation. They have like the little dot where you could look in on them, but they couldn't look out on you. But it's also where the people who were involved in the Easter Rising were shot. And it was the first time that I had gone to somewhere and I felt that heaviness, and I didn't know if it was haunted. And even thinking about it now, I kind of still have that like, and like I took pictures, I didn't see anything, but I was also like, nope, don't want to see you, don't want to see you, don't want to see you. Because I do have a family member on my grandma's side that was psychic, if I'm getting that right. My grandma used to read cards, would never do it for kids because she believed that it would screw up your future. So she didn't ever do it for kids. But I don't know if I have it, and I don't want to know if I have it. So I'm just like, nope. But I did feel that because it was like the Easter Rising is like the story of Ireland, right? And so, but to feel that, and they have like the bullet holes are still on the wall and the crosses are on the ground, and they take you through the whole thing, and you get to go into a jail cell and everything. Like, I highly recommend it. And then even going to Alcatraz, which is not so much about death as it is the history of it and the Native American history of it in the 70s and everything else. It's such a good way to experience the history of a community. But if you are a ghost tourist, are jails the best place to go? Or is there a place that you're like, if you like to see ghosts, you should go to like the old timey churches or to old businesses? Or what are some things that if you're touring that you're more likely to encounter them in?
Ooh. For me, I find that if you go looking for them, they're harder to find.
Like a husband.
Yeah. They are. They seem to know that kind of energy, and I've talked to many that do different kinds of tours in different provinces, and they find the same thing. Um, unless you're with a child or a pregnant woman, because apparently ghosts love pregnant women,
Yes. Yeah.
which, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I
And
don't know if it's the energy they give off or.
have you been to New Orleans? So you've probably gone through
I
some
didn't
of
do
the
the ghost
areas.
tour. I was there for work, boring
Okay.
work.
Okay.
So
So
yeah, I didn't get to do the ghost tour, but I did get to wander around a bit.
yeah. So Madame Delphine Lalaurie, one of the most infamous people out there, saw her house. Stood on the opposite side of the street from where it's not the original house. The original house is burnt down. But I remember standing on the opposite side of the street, and they're explaining some of the things. And I think the craziest part too is that it's a ghost tour, right? They really didn't dive into like all of the atrocities that have happened in that area and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And all of the horrible things that occurred on that property. I know Nicolas Cage owned it for a while and he refused to live in it. And apparently he is very in tune with
Oh.
the other side, which is one of the reasons why he's purchased those types of land. But I remember being like just on the opposite side of the street and like looking at this building, and you're just like, it's hard for me because I love ghost tours. I've never seen a ghost, never experienced a spirit or anything like that, never had anything move on me or anything along those lines. But I love the stories because, again, the history.
Mhm.
And that was one of the things that I think for anyone who's interested in history or loves ghosts, you taking the two of them and putting them together to become something so magnificent that people can participate in is something I respect so much, because being able to go on these tours and learn and get that little like, ooh, okay, is something going to happen? So what is it like when you first meet someone for your tour? When you face to face, I'm walking in and I'm like, all right, Katie, I'm ready for this tour. What expectations do you set with people?
Good question. That's a great question.
That is a good question. What expectations do we set? I mean, it's 40 people usually we have with us, so I can't say you're going to have major experiences. But we do say we're going to take you through. And of course, we tell you we're taking you to the nice ghosts. We're not going to go the places where the bad ghosts are. We're sticking to places where there's like businesses. So we know because if a ghost is around people, they're going to be nice ghosts
Okay.
usually, or more of a trickster. Like Government House has a bit of a trickster. Bushwhacker Brew Pub has a bit of a trickster.
Ah,
But they're nicer ghosts. And so that's usually what we warn them is don't worry, it's nicer ghosts. And I mean, we're going to have fun too, because Kathy, my co-guide, and I are not super serious people. So we like to have fun and joke around and laugh. So I mean, we will have fun. Um, but yeah, and then of course we tell the ghost stories and then tell why that ghost might be there. And we've even last year we tried to incorporate some of the stories that we debunked or that have been debunked so that we
Ah.
can kind of bring that energy as well.
I
So okay,
appreciate
for the
those.
bad ghosts, you're like, well, those are the good ones, and then you just glossed over
Yeah.
the bad guys. So are there, and what constitutes a bad ghost?
Also, want to like preface this by like saying we're not telling you to not go to this place, but like
Oh, yeah.
also just like have your wits about you, I guess, so that
Or you can just
we're
tell us
not-
about the ghosts and not tell us where they were.
Yeah,
just
that's fair.
describe.
we don't want to ruin someone's business.
Well, and I wouldn't say usually if it's like a business with people, they're not usually really bad. I won't say that everywhere because you're going to have certain ones that hide in the basements or that kind of thing. So they go kind of where there's less people. But personally, I tend to avoid like abandoned buildings because, in my opinion, if there's a ghost in there, they're there because they don't want to be bothered. And so I'm like, I'll agree with you and I won't bother you. So because I don't want them coming to my house to bother me. So I'm like, no, I'll respect your space there. So that's why I don't go into abandoned places. unless someone really wants me to be there, but I'm like, I won't go looking for those ones. So yeah, so that's why I prefer the places like the government house and Bushwhackers, because there's always people. So it's,
But what does a bad ghost do? How do you know they're a bad ghost?
Turns you into one. Dun, dun, dun. Sorry.
It's a Dateline episode.
Usually I would say they would like drain your energy, maybe make you feel sick. Maybe, like I said, maybe they come and follow you home because you were in their space, so they're coming into your space, and I don't want annoying ones in my home, causing ruckus. So yeah, I'd rather they stay where they are.
Okay, so outside of Saskatchewan, your favorite ghost, your number one, you're like, this ghost was absolute. Maybe you met them already, maybe you haven't, you've just heard about them and you're like, I gotta go meet this ghost. What
best
maybe
ghost ever. Yeah, high bar here.
BFF ghost.
Or be my BFF.
Well, I know there's one on my bucket list that I do really want to see, and I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head at the moment for some reason, but it's the one that's in like a ship, and so they turn the ship into a hotel, but apparently it is still haunted. And so you can go in and like stay overnight in this ship that's docked permanently. It's in the US. I can't remember the name off the top of my head, but that is a place I really want to go see.
The Galaxy? That doesn't seem right. I just Googled really quick.
Do you have any desire to see Winchester House?
I would love to see Winchester House. Yes.
So the backstory on Winchester House, that is what is it called? A Hollywood Hotel at Disneyland is loosely based on it. There's a ride at Disneyland that's loosely based on the one with the haunted house, like haunted mansion.
Haunted mansion. Yeah.
Haunted mansion. Obviously. So
sorry for interrupting. The RMS Queen Mary, is that it?
Yes. Yes.
There you go.
Where is it?
Long Beach, California, where the Beach Boys reign.
Winchester House is also in California.
Perfect.
So the backstory on Winchester House is that it was the home of the heir to the Winchester fortune, Winchester being the company that makes all the guns. They have quite the gun museum. To me, they all look the same. Because they're all long guns. It's a rifle. It's a rifle. It's a rifle. I don't know. There were some men in there who were much more excited about it than I was. We did an early evening tour. I remember saying to my friends, if I never see you again, I love you. Like, I am such a chicken. I do not put myself in these situations. Even though I did spend a night at Fort Sand after a ghost tour, when I was in grade 12. And you go through this whole, and this was right after the Winchester movie came out. And she believed that she had a seance room, which they do take you into. It's not all the original furniture, and part of the home was destroyed because of an earthquake in the San Francisco area. So she believed that the spirits were telling her what to do. And so there's doors to nowhere, staircases into walls. It has more windows than the Empire State Building. They're in the floors. They're in the walls. It is absolute crazy town. The steps are super, super narrow and super short. So you're like, when you're going up the stairs, everything's really narrow. She's a very, very petite woman. And so we go through this whole tour and I'm on edge the whole time. And they say nothing about ghosts. It's all the history, nothing about ghosts. They do a ghost tour late at night. And then they have like really special ones over Halloween. If you sign up for their emails, they will tell you all about them because you sign up when you go buy a ticket and then you hear about it forever. So we get to the end and they had costumes from the movie. And I don't know if it's Helen Mirren that's in it, but it's like a black costume and it's on a mannequin, and you get to the end and you're by the horse, the carriage and everything else. And we get to the end and I'm a journalist, right? So they're like, any questions? And I was like, yeah, is it haunted? Like, hello, we did this whole tour and you said nothing about ghosts. And she goes, oh, yeah. And I was like, and she said, one of the most common ones that people experience is the smell of roses. And I was like, what do you mean? And she said, they pump vanilla through the house because it's old. Like, it would smell old and musty. So they pump like the equivalent of essential oils. So you shouldn't smell roses. But what's funny is we walked into this really big sitting room, piano room, And I had turned to Jess, who was with me at one time, and I said, "Oh my God, the perfume." It was the roses. But we didn't know that that's what we were smelling. And it's her. That was her favorite scent. She put roses in every room.
Oh.
But also, she said, "Go on YouTube." And I said, "Why?" She's like, "Just go on YouTube. Trust me." There's so many ghost stories about Winchester House. It's unbelievable. But the big one is the swinging chandeliers in unison that you cannot touch. There is no way you could get them to swing as much as they do. And they just whoop, swing in unison. It is so creepy. And it's on video all the time. I don't know how these people handled it, but there is just such a creepy energy about the house. But it is a cool experience. And I did not see anything. That's not to say no one would see anything. But it's a neat one to visit. There's a lot of ghosty things in California because of the history, right? Like there's anywhere that there's some significant history, you can probably find something that has. Is there places you won't go where the history's too dark that you're like, I just don't even want to experience it?
Oh, good question.
I mean, you went to the gallows, so I don't know that.
Yeah.
I will go to a lot of places, especially once they're museums. I'm like, sure, let's go through them. Would I not go? Like I said, as long as it's not abandoned, I'd probably go. If it's abandoned, I might take a pass and not bother.
I would be more like on the safety side of things, because let's be realistic here. If it's abandoned, there's a reason why it's an abandoned place, and like I don't want.
You're going through the floor.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or
so
something, right? Yeah.
Yeah. And that's why I love doing the actual tour and going on a tour. I'm heading out to Scotland in less than a month to go to Edinburgh and go and do some ghosty tours there too. So I'm just like, but everything that I do is with a tour guide. And that's because I want to not only have a little spooky, but I want to also learn some things. So for those people who might be curious about Regina, about getting into some of the interesting history that exists here, how are people going to be like, what are some of the tours that you have coming up? Like what can we do with you? Tell us all.
And how does it work
with you?
Because I know last year you did them.
Yeah.
And they were sold out before anyone could sneeze. So how have you reincorporated this to, I mean, you've got 40 people. It's a pretty hefty group. But how often do you do this? Is there certain holidays you do it for? How does it work?
When can I book?
Yeah, so last year we only did 4 nights, which is probably why it sold out so fast. And we did it in the 2 weeks right before Halloween. Definitely did not expect that kind of response because we also had a wait list of, I think, almost 100 long. So very excited about that. So this year we've decided we're going to try 4 summer tours, which are going to be walking kind of around the legislative building because there's a lot of stuff kind of around there. And those tickets will be going up right away here. And then we have 5 bus tours again, kind of across September and into October. So those ones are very similar to our last year tour, except we're changing it up a little bit. We haven't 100% finalized the stops, but we are starting at Government House, which is the same place we started last year, because you just can't do ghosts in Regina without the Government House. And then we have one premium dining experience, we're calling it, because we're testing it out on October 29th, where we're going to 4 haunted locations and having food and beverages available. The food is included in the ticket. If you want alcohol, you have to pay for it. But we're going to have food and beverages at every stop.
Can I say one of them is probably Crave?
Not so far. We
Really?
haven't finalized, but not so far.
Bushwhackers.
Maybe. We don't know yet.
The reason I say Crave is because a lot of people don't know. Because I mean, if you're younger than a millennial, you don't know what Crave was before it was Crave, like the Assiniboia Club and the whole history there. I would bet there's a lot of debunking you have to do with that building, because I've heard some pretty crazy stories out of that building.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah. Yeah, I haven't been allowed in to do any kind of ghosty kind of stuff in there. Of course, I've been in Crave many times, but never to talk about ghosts, other than way back in the day. I think it was 2008 8, I want to say. I did a ghost tour in Regina, and they took us into Crave, or I don't know if it was called Crave back then.
I can't remember what it was before
Can't
Crave.
remember.
It was a restaurant.
It was a restaurant.
Yeah.
But even before that, it was a gentleman. Back in the day, it was a gentleman's club.
Gentleman's club, yeah.
So gentlemanly, those gentlemen.
Listen, a lot of opportunities right now for all the businesses that are listening who have experienced a haunting to now say,
yeah,
we should have a little chit chat with you, and then, you know, come up with a quick snack and a drink as a stop so that you can teach them. I think that's the best part, is like there's so many opportunities that you're opening up to, not just with the ghost side of things, but also just teaching the history of some of the buildings that exist in the city that I feel like, and I say this as someone who's from Ontario, who moved here 10 years ago, like I was unaware of a lot of it. I've learned so much from being able to go on these types of tours, because you guys open up the doors to places that I would have never stepped foot in otherwise. So
Moose Jaw has a trolley ghost tour.
Yes.
Which sounds super fun and also terrifying. I couldn't do any of these things because I was on TV and they all would start around 7 o'clock. And I couldn't get to Moose Jaw. I couldn't be on TV till 6:30 and make it to Moose Jaw for 7 o'clock. It wasn't happening. So this Halloween, let me tell you, I am going to be terrified on the regular.
Can we all go together?
Yeah, absolutely.
Wait,
you know, Celeste
Katie's
will be
gonna come with us, and I bet you anything, Katie, you probably could do just as good of a job as the person who's hosting the ghost tour, but at least you could be the person who gets to find it. Well,
no, you're talking about the trolley one.
The trolley version. Yeah. But I'm sure
I haven't been on it yet. I actually want to go this year because I want to check it out.
Well, then we could just book it together.
2 experiences in Moose Jaw already. So
at the tunnels?
No, at Grant Hall Hotel and then Hopkins Dining.
I've also heard May Wilson Theater is haunted as well.
Ooh, yeah, I could see that. Because supposedly the Indian Head Theater is also haunted.
Theaters, Phantom of the Opera.
Yeah,
I mean,
I guess so.
You know?
Are we all going to start putting on like half masks and singing? We're going to have
for these Halloween tours, do people dress up or is it just to like show up as you are?
Most did not dress up, even though we encouraged it, but we did have a few that did dress up, a few groups.
Okay.
Especially closer to the Halloween night than more started dressing up.
So your job, we're giving you homework, is to keep us in the loop. And we will share all the details on our social media so that people can find your fun tours. Not that you need help, given again, because they sold out so quickly. But there's so much to do in Regina. And this is a really cool way that even if you've lived here your whole life, or maybe if you're out of town and you're like, why would I go to Regina? Which is my most annoying thing ever because I've lived here my whole life and I choose to live here. I like it here. This is one of those cool things where like you can learn a lot. You get exposed to local businesses. Maybe you'll meet some friends. We can all use more friends, right? And I mean, common interest is ghosts. So, you know, they're going to be fun.
On top of that, you know, if you haven't found Katie online or anything like that, please go and check out some of her books because we love a good haunting. We love some good ghost stories. Some of our favorites. So,
what are you reading right now? I know you write, but what's the best horror thing, whether it's a book or a movie that you've seen lately? If you want to give a recommendation for the genre.
Ooh, what am I reading right now? Well, right now I'm reading an oldie, which is the Woman in Black.
Nice.
Sometimes I like to read the oldies.
Yeah.
Even though they're sometimes really hard to get through, but I still like going to the classics.
I just watched that new Mummy movie. The Lee Cronin one. I was significantly grossed out by it. It was a good movie. It's a good horror movie if you're looking for something spooky to watch.
I liked Scream 7. That's the latest horror movie I watched.
Oh, I haven't seen that one yet.
They're predictable, right? Yeah, it's like going to a romance. You have a sense of what's going to happen. There's some thrills and complications along the way. And then there's an ending. I thoroughly enjoy that series. When people are critical of it, I'm like, guys, it's a popcorn movie. You go to be entertained. When you go to a horror movie, and I know sometimes there are like overarching social messages, but not all of them have to be that. Sometimes you can just go, turn off your brain, and enjoy being startled occasionally. Oh, before we go, what do you think of The Conjuring?
Oh, what do I think of The Conjuring?
I'm leaning in for this. This is a big deal for me.
Haunted Room. The whole locking, because they're based on a true story. What do you
Love
think
it.
of The Conjuring? Let's leave on that note.
The movies I have not enjoyed because I feel like
Did it bastardize their story?
especially the first one, anytime they pin something on like, oh, it was a witch, I'm like, hey, you lost me, and I'm gone. Because I'm like, that's such a bad ending to a movie.
Cop out.
It is.
But what do you think of the story? Like the fascination that people have with those two?
Yeah, I don't know. Like, because there's so much out there. I mean, I think they probably do believe in a lot of the stories that they've collected, and they probably do believe in their experiences. So I know a lot of people are now, picking it apart and saying it's all fake, but as someone that's in it, of course it looks fake from the outside, because how do you prove it? So I'm like, it's really hard to prove that these things happen. So I try to be more believable to people's stories than say that they're all lying, because it's a hard thing to, and I try to be nice. I don't like pointing fingers and calling people liars.
I think the big thing is that whenever you are going into anything haunted, and I said this before, I have yet to experience anything personally myself, or maybe I'm just ignorant of it. But the important part is to just keep an open mind. Keep an open mind to every experience that comes to you. And I am so excited because the day that you drop, the next
we're gonna be the
option
most annoying.
You're gonna hate us. We're gonna be there.
We'll take some TikTok videos. It will just be your hype girls, but also I will be a giant weenie under the seat of the bus.
Oh, we're
just
really
call
good.
me when
We're
it's
very
over.
Good.
I'll
we're
listen.
Very good.
I just don't want to see it. I'll have a blanket over my head. Do you know how many horror movies I've watched through a blanket? And I love them.
Most people didn't have experiences on our tours. We did have a couple that did, and they made sure to let us know, which was really fun. But
well, that's good. I'm glad. Well,
do they tell you in the moment, or do you tell you when it's over?
The one pulled us aside in the moment because we were just leaving the government house to get on the bus, and they pulled me over and they're like, "Can you look at this photo?" And I was like, "Okay." Looked at the photo, and it was just of the outside. They were just taking photos of the outside, and it did look like there's a man standing in one of the windows, and we were like looking with our eyes, going, "I don't see a person." That's trying to figure it out. Cool. So yeah, so they did it right in the moment. And then at the end, we had some people come up to tell us their stories from other locations, and which is a lot of fun. So it is, you have it's a real community on the bus, which makes it even more fun.
I can't wait to go turn those wheels in the bus and go for a ride. Katie, thank you. Pleasure to just be able to chat with you. Can't wait to hear about all the good things. We'll be there. And if people are looking for you, want to know more about you, where do we go to get your details?
So basically, you can just look up KD Kulpa, so Kulpa, anywhere, and you will find me.
Including the podcast, which just finished episode 66. No devil numbers here, or yes, we do. Yes, we do.
Totally fine.
Katie, thanks so much for making time for us, for telling us everything. And we're probably going to have you back in October.
For sure. Anytime. Thanks for having me.
Get spooky.